Ah, my gently curious listener. Welcome back to the quiet corner of the universe where we drift together in slowness. You've wandered once more into the cozy hollow of the sleepy sloth. That slow-speaking, scientist wannabe, who delights in things long forgotten, long unmoving, long unchanged. And today, I find myself wrapped in the velvet hush of a most curious discipline. Today, I consider myself a scientist in coins. Coins of the distant past, and the very dull present. Coins that do not speak. And yet, oh, how they whisper. I must warn you. This tale is not exciting. Not even a little bit. And that is just perfect. Before I start, please, let me know. What is the most boring thing you would secretly love hearing about? Let me know gently. In the comments. Now, let us begin today's episode of The First Coin, a story so uneventful. It may just lull your thoughts into sweet oblivion. The first coins were not designed for speed, or flair, or even convenience. No, no. They were born, quite slowly, in the ancient lands of Lydia, around 600 years before the common calendar began to count. A sleepy kingdom nestled in what we now call Western Turkey. But back then, it was a place of quiet power and curious metals. These early coins were not uniform, not polished, not even fully round. They shimmered with a pale, dusky glow, because they were made not of pure gold, nor of silver, but of something in between. Something nature herself made in her slow geologic dreams. That material was electrum. A soft, sandy mixture of gold and silver, found resting in the beds of ancient rivers. People didn't smelt it at first. No. They simply gathered it. Pebbles of wealth, unrefined, yet shimmering. These early coins were not like the ones you know. Each one weighed a little differently, shaped by hand, then gently stamped with a mark, often a simple lion's head. A sign, not of value in numbers, but of power, of origin. And so, the Lydians became the first known humans to turn metal into money, not by accident, not by bartering, but by deliberate marking. One side was pressed with a die, and the other side often showed a soft punch mark, the shape left behind by the force of striking. That little hollow was not a mistake. It was proof that the coin had been touched and changed by human intention. Before that moment, there were no coins, only weighed metal, only trade. But here, around 600 BC, something quietly clicked. And money, as a concept, began to solidify. Not all at once. Not with fanfare. Just a slow trickle of electrum pieces, passed from one quiet palm to another. In ancient China, before the roundness of coins became a quiet standard, money looked rather different. It took the shape of tools, long-handled, softly curved implements, not for digging, not for cutting, but for carrying value. Knife coins, spade coins, the echoes of agriculture still clinging to currency. They weren't sharp, not really, just symbolic, cast from bronze and gently shaped to resemble the tools of labor. Because that, back then, was the language of worth. A knife coin might be inscribed with the name of a city, or a weight, or a dynasty whose memory now drifts like vapor across forgotten fields. These coins were not struck like their Western cousins, but rather cast in clay molds, their forms poured slowly, cooled, and tapped free with the patience of centuries. Some bore holes near the hilt, so they could be strung together on cords, clinking softly at the waist of a merchant, or a farmer, or a scholar with a long, dusty beard. Over time, the shapes began to round. The blades softened. The spades curled inward. Until, one by one, the coins gave up their tool-shaped pasts and became simple discs, still with a hole in the center, a quiet place for stringing or thinking. And so, the evolution from knife to round unfolded not in haste, but in slow, deliberate centuries, shaped by ritual, philosophy, and the enduring calm of tradition. Of course, we shall drift ever onward, gently, coin by coin, with a soft pause between each whisper of history, to let your thoughts rest, and your mind wander. Here is the next one. The Romans. Oh, the slow, organized minds of Rome. They struck their coins by hand. Not by machine, not by press, not with speed, but with quiet repetition. A small disc of metal, called a blank or a planchet, was placed ever so carefully between two engraved dies. One below, one above, and then, with a measured blow from a hammer, the image was pressed in. Sometimes, just once. Sometimes, again. The coins were rarely perfect. Some were off-center, others too faint, each one a soft echo of empire. A miniature proclamation, saying, Rome was here. The emperor's profile gazed sideways into time, while the reverse spoke in quiet metaphors, eagles, altars, grain, promises of plenty and power. No two coins were truly the same. The hands that struck them were tired, calloused, focused on quotas, not artistry. And yet, in that tireless tapping, Rome stamped its will into the world, coin by coin, sigh by sigh, until its influence clinked from Britain to Babylon. A quiet empire, minted in bronze, in silver, in gold, but most of all, in intention. Silver drachmas from Athens were little discs of wisdom, firm and gleaming like the morning moon. And on them, always watching, always calm, was the owl. Athena's owl. Round-eyed and feathered with stillness, perched as if guarding the minds of the city. One side bore the goddess herself, helmeted and serene. The other, her wise companion. A creature sacred not for its noise or beauty, but for its silence, and its gaze. These coins were thick, heavy with silver, slow to wear, made to travel but never forget where they came from. In their day, they were trusted across seas and languages, not just for the metal, but for the meaning. The letters alpha, theta, epsilon told all who held it. This came from Athens, the place of philosophers, where thought was treasured, and coinage precise. The owl did not hoot. It merely looked, and in its looking, offered quiet assurance that this piece of metal, this drachma, was both currency and culture, weight and wisdom, all pressed into one sleepy circle of silver. India's earliest coins did not show the faces of rulers, nor grand buildings, nor declarations in proud script. Instead, they were soft square pieces of silver, gently hammered and clipped by hand, and then, oh so softly, punched with little symbols. Stars, suns, trees, hills, circles within circles. Like a dreamer's vision of the world. These symbols were not just decoration. They were the language of kingdoms, of tribes, of thoughts, that wandered across the Indian subcontinent like drifting clouds. They didn't declare dominance. They suggested presence. These coins were known as punch-marked coins, and each mark told a quiet truth, about weight, about worth, about where the silver had come from, or who had handled it. No two looked quite alike. They were not struck all at once, but marked over time, by different hands, in different directions. Some had as many as 5 marks. Some only 1. And still, they passed from palm to palm, with trust, with stillness, with history that asked no questions, and offered no noise. Just the faint shine of silver, and the hush of 1,000 forgotten meanings. The denarius was more than a coin. It was the quiet heartbeat of Roman ambition. A small silver disc, first minted around 211 BC, so humble in size, and yet so mighty in its journey. With every road built, every aqueduct raised, every soldier paid in the far corners of empire, the denarius was there. Smooth, worn by fingers and time, stamped with the profile of Rome's leaders, Julius Caesar, Augustus, Trajan, each one gazing off to the right, as if pondering the next conquest, or simply lost in thought. On the reverse, gods, victories, or scenes of offering. Not flashy, just declarative. These coins were not hoarded. They were spent, passed, trusted. A denarius could buy bread, wine, a small favor, or a quiet bribe. It hummed beneath the surface of Roman life, never shouting, never slowing. And yet, with each one minted, Rome spoke more fluently, in silver. Even long after the empire fell, the word denarius echoed softly, into languages like dinar, denier, penny, ghostly echoes of a coin that once built the world, with nothing but quiet certainty. Early Islamic coins, whispered verses of faith in delicate, looping Arabic script that curled like silent vines across polished gold and silver surfaces. They bore no images of rulers or beasts, only the sacred words of the Quran, softly declaring unity, charity, and the name of Allah. Each coin was cast or struck with deliberate care, the mint's name, Baghdad, Damascus, Kufa, gently inscribed along the edge, a quiet signature of place. These coins carried neither clang nor clamor, but a hushed reverence, passing through countless hands in bustling bazaars, quiet caravans, and desert nights lit by lantern glow. Their weight measured both metal and devotion, their beauty found not in shine, but in the hush of holy text, binding commerce and belief in a gentle, silver embrace. Viking hoards were never loud discoveries in their time, but quiet acts of patience and planning. Silver coins, many foreign, many borrowed, many taken, carefully stashed beneath fields and floors and forest moss. The Vikings did not mint many of their own coins early on. No, they preferred to gather them. Through trade, through tribute, through soft raids that echoed across the coastlines. These coins came from England, from the Caliphate, from Byzantium. And they were weighed, not counted. Passed across smooth balanced scales. Felt between thumb and tooth. Sometimes clipped, sometimes whole. And when the time came to hide them, for winter, for war, or for no reason at all, they were buried like seeds. Dozens, hundreds, thousands, nestled into pots, wrapped in cloth, or simply poured into earth. Left there for centuries, quietly waiting, for no one in particular. They did not speak of treasure. They simply slept beneath the soil, until unearthed by the curious, or the lucky, still gleaming with the long sighs of cold, northern time. Charlemagne's coin reforms were not sudden revolutions, but slow rearrangements of an already drifting system. Around the 8th century, the great and solemn king, with his heavy brow and heavy thoughts, decided that money should be predictable. He introduced the silver denier, a small, carefully measured coin, meant to unify the many strange, local currencies of his patchwork empire. 12 deniers made a sou. 20 sous made a lever. A system. Soft as a cathedral shadow. Steady as prayer. These coins bore his name. Carols. Sometimes with a simple cross. Sometimes with a faint temple shape. They were not fancy. They were not numerous at first. But they were dependable. Charlemagne did not want extravagance. He wanted order. And so, from mints in cities like Tours, Reims, and Mela, the new deniers slowly emerged. Silver signs of authority, humming through markets and monasteries. A coin reform not of flash or force, but of quiet, holy consistency. Byzantine coins glimmered like pocket-sized icons, kissed by time and divine intent. Their golden surfaces, slightly concave like gentle saucers, bore the haloed faces of emperors and Christ, front-facing and still, solemn as frescoes, frozen in gold. These coins were known as solidi and histamina, long-lived and unwavering in purity, struck for trade and tribute alike. The inscriptions, in Greek, wrapped around the edges like whispered prayers, not rushed, never boastful, just reverent. When they passed from hand to hand, they carried not just spending power, but a soft theology, a reminder that empire and heaven were never very far apart. Even the weight of the coin, roughly 4.5 grams of gold, was measured with the care of a monk tending a candle. And though the empire would shift, and falter, and fade, the coins, with their glowing faces and tender engravings, would remain, tucked in tombs and hoards, humming with the silence of vanished saints. Japan's Koban coin was not round, and not ordinary. It was an oval, a small, gleaming gold leaf, stamped with delicate kanji characters, and gently brushed with black ink that settled into its engraved ridges like mist in a valley. First issued in the Edo period, the koban was more than money. It was status, artistry, a quiet honor to receive, and an even quieter one to part with. Merchants carried them in silk-wrapped pouches. Samurai were sometimes paid in koban. And poets, oh the poets, wrote of them like blossoms, brief, beautiful, and rare. Their value shifted over time. As weights changed, as reforms passed, as shoguns drifted into shadow. But the koban's soft, golden oval remained a dreamy emblem of a time when money could look like calligraphy, and feel like the slow fall of a petal. In colonial America, long before the birth of the cent, coins from Spain wandered freely across the colonies like wind-blown leaves. These were reales, Spanish silver coins stamped with pillars and globes, trusted, clipped, and passed from hand to hopeful hand. Sometimes they were cut into pieces, eighths, quarters, creating the famed pieces of 8, which clinked in pouches and drawers and ship hulls, long before Washington's face was ever imagined. The colonies lacked a formal mint, so foreign coins became local standards, their value set by custom, by weight, by quiet necessity. A Spanish dollar might buy a bundle of nails, or a night's lodging, or simply be hidden beneath floorboards for later. Over time, these coins wore smooth, their images fading like memories, their edges thinned by 1,000 quiet exchanges. And yet, they remained, soft and steady, a foreign currency in a land still learning how to count itself. The guinea, in England, was not round in value. It was born from gold, African gold, brought quietly and heavily from the Guinea coast. First minted in 1663, it was meant to be a simple 1-pound coin. But the gold was too fine, too pure, and its value rose. 1 pound, and 1 shilling. A guinea. Odd. Elegant. Elusive. It bore the image of Charles II, then later monarchs. each face shifting through the golden years. It became the coin of professionals, of doctors, of lawyers, of racehorse breeders and auctioneers. Not common, not clinking, but precise. Even after it stopped being minted, its ghost remained in speech. Prices quoted in guineas, long after the coin itself had slipped into history's velvet pocket. A golden oddity that never quite fit, and never quite left. Ancient Persian derricks were small gold coins, shimmering quietly with the image of a king. Not sitting still, but running. Yes, running, with a bow in hand, an archer frozen in a soft moment of pursuit or protection. These coins, introduced by Darius the Great around 500 BC, were prized for their consistent weight and high gold purity. Unlike earlier irregular metals, derricks were carefully minted, becoming a trusted currency across the vast Achaemenid Empire, from the sands of Mesopotamia to the mountains of Persia. Their imagery was not mere decoration, it symbolized royal power, swift and watchful. Derricks were often exchanged with silver coins called siglos, creating a balanced economy, gentle as a flowing river, stable as a well-worn path. The Queen's profile on coins, a slow, regal presence, has aged with quiet dignity over decades. Starting with Queen Victoria's young face in the 19th century, through the soft lines of Elizabeth II, the monarch's likeness has been the steady front of British coinage. These portraits are sculpted with subtle changes, each new effigy slightly softer, slightly more familiar, like watching a tree grow in a garden over time. The profile always faces to the right or left, following long-standing traditions. The careful artistry of the engravers captures a kind of stillness, a gentle continuity in a changing world. These coins don't shout royalty, they whisper it gently, carried in pockets and purses through decades of quiet history. The U.S. Mint opened in 1792 with a mission both simple and immense, to forge a new nation's currency. It began in Philadelphia, in a humble building by the river, with only a handful of workers and basic equipment. The first coins were copper cents, silver dollars, and gold eagles, each struck slowly by hand-operated presses. Their designs combined symbolism, the eagle, the liberty cap, the flowing hair, with practicality. The mint's early years were full of experiments in metals and designs, learning slowly what the new country needed. It was not a factory of haste, but a workshop of care, where the quiet creation of money meant uniting a fledgling republic through trust, weight, and metal. Coins were once believed to carry luck, a superstitious hum that followed them like a shadow. People placed coins in shoes to keep feet steady on long journeys, tossed pennies into wells to summon quiet blessings, slipped silver pieces into pockets to ward off misfortune. These small metal discs became talismans, simple and unassuming. The practice was widespread, from Europe to Asia, from the Middle Ages through Victorian times. Coins' cold weight against soft skin, their clinking sound in quiet pockets, all contributed to a feeling of protection and comfort. No one asked for this belief to be true. And yet, here it was, a slow dance of metal and meaning in the quiet corners of everyday life. Many medieval coins were clipped at the edges, worn thin and light by greedy fingers seeking precious metals. Unlike today's ridged edges, which prevent tampering, medieval coins were soft targets. People would shave tiny amounts of silver or gold from the circumference, then pass the lighter coins on with fewer questions. This clipping was a slow theft, barely audible, but cumulatively devastating. Rulers and mints tried to combat this by introducing milled or reeded edges, ridges that showed if a coin had been tampered with. But before these innovations, coins were more vulnerable, more fragile, like soft leaves easily crumpled. The clipped coins tell silent stories of scarcity, mistrust, and human nature's quiet impatience for wealth. Coins once jingled in silk purses, sewn into belts, hidden in bread. This may sound odd, but in times and places where pockets were rare, coins found soft homes. Silk purses, delicately sewn and tied, cushioned the cold metal from rough hands. Belts sometimes bore small pouches where coins rested close to the body, a secret warmth against the skin. In some desperate moments, coins were hidden inside loaves of bread, tucked away from thieves or soldiers. These practices varied across centuries and cultures, but each speaks of a world where money was both precious and vulnerable. Carried with care, hidden with hope, and trusted enough to be folded gently into the fabric of life itself. Spanish pieces of 8 were not just coins, but the weary travelers of a global economy long before globalization was a word. These silver coins, officially called reales de ocho, were cut into 8 segments, or bits, so they could be divided gently among merchants, sailors, and settlers. Their wide acceptance came from their consistent weight and silver content, trusted from the ports of Seville to the farthest islands of the Caribbean. The clink of pieces of 8 in a pouch was like a quiet song of trade, a steady rhythm across oceans and cultures. Despite being foreign in many lands, these coins became the slow, soft backbone of commerce for centuries, passing quietly through pockets and palm alike. Ancient Roman coins served as more than currency. They were tiny, handheld proclamations of power and ideology, pressed with care and purpose. The imagery was subtle propaganda, emperors depicted with laurel crowns, gods extending protection, military victories frozen in low relief. These coins carried messages not with loud speeches, but with soft symbols. To hold a Roman coin was to hold a whisper of empire, an invitation to trust in Rome's greatness and permanence. They circulated through cities, farms, and marketplaces, gently reinforcing the stories the empire wished to tell. Coin by coin, hand by hand, like a slow, endless murmur. Celtic coins often bore abstract swirls and patterns. Horses dissolving into dreamlike spirals. Shapes that did not represent reality, but feelings. Unlike the precise portraits of Rome or the clear symbols of Greece, Celtic coins embraced ambiguity. They were forged in silver and gold, their curves and loops flowing like mist over hills. These coins were as much art as money, holding no written language, but a visual poetry known mostly to their makers and users. The shapes invited quiet contemplation, as if each coin was a small, portable dream. A fragment of misty forests and whispered legends carried in your pocket. Counterfeiters in ancient times were treated with severity that matched the seriousness of their crime. Passing fake coins was not a mere misdemeanor, it was a threat to trust itself. Punishments ranged from branding with a hot iron to exile from the community, or worse. In some places, counterfeiters faced mutilation or death. The slow process of coin minting and acceptance relied heavily on trust in metal, in weight, and in authority. False coins were dangerous cracks in the fragile fabric of economy and society. Thus, rulers and mints guarded their dies and their silver carefully, enforcing harsh penalties to keep the flow of genuine currency gentle and sure. Viking traders, before accepting silver coins in barter, often weighed them on delicate scales. Because many coins were clipped or worn thin, the weight mattered more than the image or the origin. Scales, sometimes finely crafted, sometimes simple balances, became tools of quiet judgment. A coin's weight determined its value, not its shine or engraving. The practice was common throughout Viking trade routes from Scandinavia to the British Isles and beyond. This careful weighing was a slow dance of trust and caution, where the clink of coin on scale balanced the needs of buyer and seller, weaving a soft thread of commerce across distant lands. The Islamic dinar was a gold coin so pure, so carefully minted, that merchants across continents trusted it without hesitation. Struck with elegant Arabic script and devoid of images, the dinar carried verses of faith and names of caliphs, wrapped in soft calligraphy. Its purity often exceeded 20 carats, making it one of the most reliable gold coins of the medieval world. From markets in Baghdad to bazaars in North Africa, the dinar's smooth surfaces and consistent weight made it a quiet ambassador of trust. Unlike coins burdened by images or changing rulers, the dinar was a floating constant, a shimmer of faith and value traveling softly across deserts and seas. In times of wartime scarcity, coins have taken on curious and quiet forms, made not of metal, but porcelain, leather, or even compressed paper. During World War I and II, materials like copper and nickel were redirected toward the war effort, leaving governments to improvise. Porcelain coins, especially in Germany, were delicately crafted, fragile as fallen petals, yet carried the same weight of value in daily commerce. Leather coins appeared as temporary substitutes in some regions, soft and light, bearing stamped marks instead of intricate engravings. These ephemeral monies whispered resilience in the face of hardship, quiet reminders that even when metals run scarce, human ingenuity presses on, softly molding new forms for old purposes. During World War II, American pennies briefly abandoned their usual copper composition and instead were made of steel, a cold, gray metal. This change was driven by the need to conserve copper for ammunition and military equipment, a slow trade-off between everyday life and the distant battlefield. These steel pennies, often called steel cents, clinked differently in pockets, lighter, less warm to the touch, sometimes mistaken for nickels by unwary hands. Their brief existence, from 1943 only, makes them subtle anomalies in the long-running story of the Lincoln cent. Despite their different metal, they carried the same quiet promise of commerce. Small discs passing silently between neighbors in uncertain times. Some of the oldest coins found in India were not round, but square, simple pieces of silver or copper, softly hammered and punched. Unlike the perfectly circular coins familiar in later centuries, these early shapes reflect a time when the idea of coinage was still settling, experimenting with form and function. Square coins were easier to stack and carry, yet their edges were more vulnerable to wear and clipping. They bear faint punch marks, symbols like stars or animals, quiet signatures of tribal or regional authorities. These coins whisper of a world in flux, where money was still learning how to be, and slowly drifting into shape. Shipwrecked treasures glimmer quietly in the depths, holding centuries-old gold doubloons and silver pieces beneath layers of salt and silence. Maritime disasters often preserved hoards that once moved lively through ports and markets, now locked in time, resting on sandy beds or tangled in coral. These coins bear the scars of waves and voyages, softly worn edges, encrusted surfaces, but their weight and metal remain intact. When recovered, they offer archaeologists frozen moments. Whispers of trade routes, colonial ambitions, and private adventures. Each coin from a shipwreck is a submerged story, a silent shimmer that survived the slow, endless dance of ocean currents. The florin, first minted in Florence in the 13th century, was a golden coin that set a slow, steady rhythm for European currency. Weighing about 3.5 grams and made of nearly pure gold, the florin's design was simple yet elegant, a fleur-de-lis on one side, and a portrait of John the Baptist on the other. Its consistent weight and purity made it a trusted coin across borders, spreading through merchant cities and royal courts alike. The florin quietly influenced many subsequent coins, becoming a model for stability in a world where money could often be unpredictable. Its soft golden shine marked a turning point, a gentle heartbeat in the evolving economy of medieval Europe. Ancient coins found in remote places whisper secrets of lost trade routes and forgotten friendships. Coins minted thousands of miles apart have been discovered together, silent proof that distant cultures once touched hands and exchanged goods. For example, Greek coins have been found deep in Central Asia, Roman coins along the Silk Road, and Chinese coins in Viking graves. These discoveries suggest slow, steady networks of trade, migration, and perhaps even trust, stretching across deserts, mountains, and seas. Each coin is a quiet messenger, carrying its story far beyond its mint, a breath of connection in a world that seems vast and silent. The obverse of a coin is its face, a term borrowed softly from portraiture. It usually bears the image of a ruler, a deity, or an emblem meant to identify the origin or authority behind the currency. This side is often more detailed, carefully designed to capture likenesses or symbols that command trust. The obverse quietly invites recognition, asking the holder to remember a king's rule, a god's protection, or a nation's identity. Though small and often overlooked, the obverse carries the weight of legitimacy, a soft but firm handshake from the past, pressed in metal. The reverse side of a coin reveals stories not often told aloud, images of temples, lions, ships, stars, or plants, each chosen with care and meant to convey values or achievements. While the obverse presents a face of authority, the reverse opens a window to culture and history, a quiet narrative etched in metal. These images are often symbolic, sometimes abstract, and always meant to be read slowly, like a soft story unfolding beneath your fingertips. Holding a coin is like holding a tiny museum, where every detail is a gentle brushstroke of time and meaning. Ridged edges on coins, those tiny grooves along the circumference, were invented to prevent the quiet crime of shaving precious metal. In earlier times, people would carefully file or clip the edges, stealing small amounts of silver or gold, almost imperceptibly. The ridges serve as a protective whisper, a subtle warning to anyone tempted to tamper. This innovation, first used on English coins in the 17th century, spread silently across many modern currencies, preserving the coin's integrity and weight with delicate precision. Some ancient Roman coins were used as tokens for gladiator games, small but potent reminders of the soft violence that entertained crowds. These coins sometimes bore images of gladiators, weapons, or beasts, circulated among spectators and participants alike. More than mere currency, they were part of a ritual, a quiet exchange within the spectacle, passing slowly from hand to hand, echoing the rhythm of the arena's shadows. Coins buried with the dead were once believed to pay the ferryman of the underworld, a solemn, slow ritual found in many cultures. The Greeks placed coins, often obols, in the mouths or on the eyes of the deceased to ensure safe passage across the river Styx. This practice whispered of beliefs in journeys beyond life, of debts paid in silence, and of the enduring connection between the living and the dead. These coins were not for spending but for crossing, small keys to the quiet beyond. In Japan, it was once customary to place coins with newborns for good fortune, a soft blessing cast in metal. Families would gift small coins, sometimes strung together or wrapped in cloth, hoping to secure prosperity and health for the child's slow unfolding life. These coins were less about value and more about symbol, gentle charms carried through early years. They represent a quiet hope, a soft ritual bridging the future and the past. During the Renaissance, coin collecting became known as the hobby of kings, a pastime not of haste but of careful admiration. Monarchs and nobles gathered coins as treasures of history and art, slowly building collections that told stories of empires, gods, and distant lands. These early collectors appreciated the quiet beauty of engraving and metalwork, often commissioning pieces for their cabinets of curiosity. The hobby was a whispered conversation between past and present, a slow appreciation of the coin as both currency and art. Byzantine emperors appeared on coins with golden halos and divine titles, reflecting their belief in sacred rule. These images portrayed the emperor as a quasi-divine figure, often front-facing, with inscriptions proclaiming their authority and piety. The halos, soft rings of light, signaled sanctity, blending politics and religion into a single image. Such coins traveled far, carrying with them the subtle message that the emperor was not just a ruler, but a chosen guardian of faith and empire. Some Islamic coins were struck without a date, only prayers and names, inviting the holder into a timeless space. This absence of chronological marking reflected theological priorities, emphasizing eternal faith over fleeting years. The coin's delicate Arabic calligraphy often featured verses from the Quran and the names of caliphs or mint officials, softly connecting commerce and devotion. These timeless coins floated through markets and caravans, their beauty lying in their quiet constancy rather than temporal detail. The United States once produced 3-cent and half-cent coins, values that now seem oddly precise and almost forgotten. The 3-cent coin, first issued in the mid-19th century, helped simplify postage payments and small transactions, while the half-cent, dating back to the 18th century, was America's smallest denomination for many years. These coins quietly slipped through pockets and cash boxes, serving subtle needs in a growing economy, now little more than whispers in numismatic collections. Some ancient coins were intentionally oversized, a gentle attempt to impress foreign traders with grandeur and trustworthiness. Larger coins, heavier and more cumbersome, were like soft announcements of wealth and stability, their size a symbol rather than just a practical measure. This practice appeared in various cultures, from ancient Greece to India, where the scale of a coin could speak as loudly as its metal content, a slow and silent statement of economic confidence. Tetradrachms, hefty silver coins from the ancient world, often bore majestic images like eagles or bulls. These coins weighed about 17 grams, roughly 4 times a drachma, making them substantial pieces of currency for large transactions and international trade. The eagle symbolized strength and divine favor, while bull suggested power and fertility. Tetradrachms circulated widely, their silver shining softly under the sun, carrying stories of commerce and authority across Mediterranean shores. The Celtic rainbow cup coins earned their name from their gentle arc-like shape, curving softly like a crescent moon or a delicate bow in the sky. These coins were often made of gold or silver and bore intricate designs that merged natural forms with abstract art. Their unusual shape distinguished them from the typical round coins, hinting at a culture that valued both beauty and uniqueness in its monetary symbols. Roman coins were struck with dies, small, engraved tools pressed together under hammer blows to imprint the design. The upper die, called the punch, was hammered by hand, while the lower die remained fixed, holding the blank planchet in place. This slow, labor-intensive process meant each coin was a tiny masterpiece of craftsmanship, its imperfections a testament to human touch rather than machine perfection. The gentle sound of hammer on metal echoed softly in mint workshops, creating the rhythm of an empire's economy. Some ancient Chinese coins were cast with tiny inscriptions only visible under magnification, a subtle signature of authenticity and artistry. These miniature characters, often indicating the mint or the reigning emperor, were carefully engraved on the molds used for casting, ensuring each coin bore the correct mark. Such fine detail, invisible to the casual eye, reassured users of the coin's origin and legitimacy, a quiet promise etched in metal and shadow. A mule coin is a rare minting accident where the obverse and reverse designs come from different coin types, creating a mismatched, often collectible, piece. These anomalies occur when dies intended for separate coins are mistakenly paired, resulting in curious hybrids that whisper stories of human error in the precise world of minting. Collectors treasure mule coins as gentle reminders that even the slowest, most careful processes can surprise us with their imperfections. Medieval European coins were often minted under the authority of bishops or kings, soft symbols of both secular and spiritual power. Bishops wielded not only religious influence but also economic control in many regions, striking coins that carried their insignia alongside royal emblems. These coins circulated in marketplaces and churches alike, blending faith and finance in a slow, intertwined dance. The images and inscriptions reflect this delicate balance, revealing a world where money and meaning were inseparable. India's Gupta dynasty minted gold coins that were more than simple currency, they were delicate, shimmering canvases bearing gods and sacred rituals that reflected the deep intertwining of spiritual and political life. These coins, circulating around the 4th to 6th century CE, often depicted figures such as Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth and prosperity, and other divine beings engaged in sacred ceremonies. The artistry was meticulous, each line in curve soft and deliberate, as if the coin itself was a tiny temple one could hold in the palm of a hand. Their purity was notable, with high gold content making them prized across the region. These coins whispered the dynasty's power not only through their value but through the quiet reverence they inspired, gently linking faith and rule in a slow, shimmering dance across marketplaces and royal treasuries alike. In ancient Greece, city-states did not merely mint coins, they competed softly but persistently in the artistry and symbolism carved into these small metal discs. Athens, with its wise owl of Athena, offered a symbol of knowledge and vigilance that gazed quietly across generations. Corinth chose Pegasus, the winged horse of myth, its wings unfurling gently as if about to take flight into legend. Syracuse, famous for its exquisite coinage, portrayed gods and heroes with such detailed profiles that one could almost feel the weight of their stories settle in the hand. These coins served as badges of identity and pride, whispered declarations of local myth and civic spirit, flowing through marketplaces and travels like soft poetry. Each city's coin was a small but profound statement, an artistic murmur threading together economy, culture, and history in a drowsy rhythm. The solidus of Constantinople was a golden constant, a soft heartbeat in the ever-shifting currents of history. Introduced by Emperor Constantine in the early 4th century CE, this coin became renowned for its remarkably consistent weight, approximately 4.5 grams, and purity, often close to 24 carats. For over 700 years, the solidus quietly underpinned Byzantine and wider European trade, offering a reliable standard amid political upheavals and economic change. Its warm gold shimmer was a beacon of trust and stability, slowly passing from hand to hand in bustling markets, quiet villages, and royal courts. This coin was not just money but a symbol of enduring authority and calm continuity, a soft, steady thread weaving through centuries of empire, gently holding together a vast and diverse world. In pre-revolutionary Russia, some copper coins grew so large and weighty that they could easily double as paperweights, resting heavily in pockets or on desks. These substantial coins, often referred to as wire money or novodel, were a product of a monetary system wrestling with inflation, scarcity of precious metals, and practical necessity. Their diameter and thickness made them cumbersome and slow to handle, yet their presence was unmistakable, a tactile, physical reminder of value in time in the vast, cold expanses of the Russian Empire. These coins carried the quiet story of an economy that measured worth not only by metal but by endurance, slowly weathering the pressures of changing political tides and daily life across immense distances. Coinage has long served as a gentle thread uniting vast empires, where the same silver that was mined in the deserts of Egypt might be minted into coins that circulated in the fields of Gaul. This quiet but powerful economic link enabled trade, tax collection, and governance to span continents and cultures, binding diverse peoples through a shared medium of exchange. The flow of metal, from distant mines, through the meticulous work of mints, and finally into the hands of traders and farmers, formed an invisible web, a soft but firm fabric that connected the far-flung reaches of empires. These coins carried more than value, they bore silent witness to human connection in the slow unfolding of civilization itself. Collectors today grade coins using a scale from poor 1 to mint 70, a tender and detailed measure of a coin's condition and beauty. Known as the Sheldon scale, it provides a gentle framework to assess how much a coin has been handled, how much detail remains, and how much of its original luster survives. A poor 1 coin might be barely identifiable, edges worn smooth, while a mint 70 coin shines with unblemished detail, as if freshly struck. Each grade tells a soft story of preservation, wear, and history, allowing collectors to listen carefully to the silent narratives etched in metal. This slow and thoughtful process turns coin collecting into a quiet meditation on time, care, and memory. Collectors today grade coins using a scale from poor 1 to mint 70, a tender and detailed measure of a coin's condition and beauty. Known as the Sheldon scale, it provides a gentle framework to assess how much a coin has been handled, how much detail remains, and how much of its original luster survives. A poor 1 coin might be barely identifiable, edges worn smooth, while a mint 70 coin shines with unblemished detail, as if freshly struck. Each grade tells a soft story of preservation, wear, and history, allowing collectors to listen carefully to the silent narratives etched in metal. This slow and thoughtful process turns coin collecting into a quiet meditation on time, care, and my gentle companion, let us continue our slow, soothing journey through the soft whispers of coin history, each fact unfolding with tender care and unhurried detail. Coinage has long served as a gentle thread uniting vast empires, where the same silver that was mined in the deserts of Egypt might be minted into coins that circulated in the fields of Gaul. This quiet but powerful economic link enabled trade, tax collection, and governance to span continents and cultures, binding diverse peoples through a shared medium of exchange. The flow of metal, from distant mines, through the meticulous work of mints, and finally into the hands of traders and farmers, formed an invisible web, a soft but firm fabric that connected the far-flung reaches of empires. These coins carried more than value, they bore silent witness to human connection and the slow unfolding of civilization itself. The sound of coins jingling softly in a pouch has long meant more than mere money, it has spoken of status, safety, and survival. In medieval towns and along dusty trade routes, the gentle clatter of metal was a reassuring heartbeat of commerce, signaling to its holder that they possessed enough to buy bread, pay a toll, or secure passage. This sound could be a quiet comfort in uncertain times, a small sign of stability and trust. Yet, it also whispered of vulnerability, the fragile dance of wealth and loss, hope and caution. The jingling coins were companions on life's long and meandering journey, softly marking moments of transaction and trust in the vast, quiet marketplace of human experience. Throughout history, many emperors devalued their coinage by mixing base metals, such as copper or nickel, into precious metals like silver and gold. This slow erosion of purity, often imperceptible at first, gradually lessened a coin's intrinsic value and trustworthiness. Known as debasement, this process was a delicate balancing act, where rulers attempted to stretch their treasury's resources without causing too much alarm. Over decades or centuries, such changes left a muted but lasting imprint, etched softly into the very metal of coins worn thin by time. The story of debasement is not one of loud crises but of subtle shifts, quiet whispers of economic strain and political decision-making reverberating through the metal's slow, measured decline. India's Gupta dynasty minted gold coins that were more than simple currency, they were delicate, shimmering canvases bearing gods and sacred rituals that reflected the deep intertwining of spiritual and political life. These coins, circulating around the 4th to 6th century CE, often depicted figures such as Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth and prosperity, and other divine beings engaged in sacred ceremonies. The artistry was meticulous, each line in curve soft and deliberate, as if the coin itself was a tiny temple one could hold in the palm of a hand. Their purity was notable, with high gold content making them prized across the region. These coins whispered the dynasty's power not only through their value but through the quiet reverence they inspired, gently linking faith and rule in a slow, shimmering dance across marketplaces and royal treasuries alike. In ancient Greece, city-states did not merely mint coins, they competed softly but persistently in the artistry and symbolism carved into these small metal discs. Athens, with its wise owl of Athena, offered a symbol of knowledge and vigilance that gazed quietly across generations. Corinth chose Pegasus, the winged horse of myth, its wings unfurling gently as if about to take flight into legend. Syracuse, famous for its exquisite coinage, portrayed gods and heroes with such detailed profiles that one could almost feel the weight of their stories settle in the hand. These coins served as badges of identity and pride, whispered declarations of local myth and civic spirit, flowing through marketplaces and travels like soft poetry. Each city's coin was a small but profound statement, an artistic murmur threading together economy, culture, and history in a drowsy rhythm. The denarius, a small silver coin first minted by the Romans around 211 BC, quietly helped build roads, armies, and stories that still echo softly in Latin texts and ruins. This humble coin was the backbone of Roman commerce for centuries, traveling from bustling markets to distant military camps. Its silver shimmer was a symbol of stability and trust, carrying the emperor's image or divine symbols to remind users of the empire's reach. Over time, the denarius bore silent witness to the growth of roads, the march of legions, and the slow weaving of a civilization's grand narrative, all encapsulated in its simple metallic form. Early Islamic coins whispered holy verses in elegant, flowing Arabic script, transforming currency into a soft declaration of faith and unity. Starting in the 7th century CE, these coins often bore verses from the Quran, names of caliphs, and minting locations, rendered in calligraphy that was both sacred and practical. The absence of human or animal images reflected religious principles, and the inscriptions became gentle prayers carried quietly through markets and caravans. These coins were more than money, they were portable reflections of devotion, drifting gently along the Silk Road and across desert sands, binding communities in shared belief. Viking hoards, often buried deep in earth or hidden within secret caches, contained silver coins tucked away like winter seeds, waiting patiently beneath the soil. These hoards hold coins from many lands, Arabic dirhams, Anglo-Saxon pennies, and continental deniers, telling stories of far-reaching trade and travel. The act of burying coins was both practical, to protect wealth, and symbolic, a slow gesture of hope for the future. The cold silver glints beneath layers of earth, quietly preserving fragments of a restless, wandering culture's economy and dreams. Charlemagne's coin reforms in the late 8th and early 9th centuries CE gave shape to Europe's early economic heartbeat by standardizing weights and designs, fostering trust across kingdoms. His introduction of the silver denier as a primary coin unified a patchwork of currencies, gently smoothing the flow of commerce and tax collection. This slow, deliberate reform echoed through centuries, laying groundwork for medieval trade networks and monetary systems. Charlemagne's coins bore simple yet powerful inscriptions and crosses, soft symbols of both authority and faith, circulating quietly through monasteries, markets, and castles. Byzantine coins shimmered with Christian halos, icons nestled in every pocket and purse, softly proclaiming divine authority alongside imperial power. Emperors were depicted wearing radiant crowns, often surrounded by golden halos that whispered sanctity and celestial favor. These coins, used from the 5th to the 15th century CE, circulated widely around the Mediterranean, carrying images of Christ, the Virgin Mary, or saints on the reverse. Their sacred iconography blended religion and governance, gently reinforcing the emperor's role as God's earthly representative in a slow, shimmering dance of faith and rule. Japan's koban coin was a golden oval, traded like poetry on parchment, a delicate symbol of wealth and status during the Edo period. These coins, minted from the early 17th century onward, featured inscriptions of their value in issuing authority in elegant calligraphy. Their elongated shape distinguished them from typical round coins, evoking the soft flow of ink across paper or the curve of a gentle breeze. The koban was not only currency but an artful object, quietly exchanged in merchant shops and samurai treasuries alike, a golden whisper of economic and cultural refinement. Colonial America traded Spanish reales long before the first U.S. cent was minted, a soft reminder of the interconnectedness of early economies. The silver pieces of 8, cut into smaller bits called bits, were widely accepted across colonies and beyond, serving as everyday money for settlers, traders, and indigenous peoples. These coins bore the royal Spanish coat of arms and the mint's mark, their weathered surfaces carrying tales of ocean voyages and frontier exchanges. The reales formed a gentle monetary foundation upon which the young United States would later build its own quiet, steady currency. The guinea in England was originally worth £1 and 1 shilling, a golden oddity that sparkled softly in pockets and ledgers alike. First minted in the 17th century from gold sourced in the Guinea region of West Africa, this coin carried a value slightly above the pound sterling, which made accounting both simple and a bit peculiar. Over time, the guinea became synonymous with luxury and prestige, favored in auctions, professional fees, and horse racing circles. Its warm golden hue and irregular value made it a slow, charming quirk of British monetary history, whispering elegance with every clink. Ancient Persian derricks carried the king's image running with a bow, a graceful portrayal that whispered power and vigilance. Minted around 500 BCE under Darius the Great, these gold coins depicted the king in mid-stride, bow in hand, as if forever poised on a slow hunt or journey. The derrick's elegant design conveyed both royal authority and a promise of protection, traveling across the vast Persian Empire's roads and bazaars. The coin's warm gleam and dynamic figure softly echoed the empire's reach in the steady pulse of its governance, a quiet reminder of sovereignty etched in precious metal. The Queen's profile on coins has aged with regal grace over decades, a gentle evolution reflecting time's slow march in the enduring nature of monarchy. Since Queen Victoria's reign in the 19th century, British coins have featured her image and those of her successors, each portrait capturing a moment in history with subtle changes in hairstyle, attire, and expression. This quiet tradition provides a soft visual timeline of monarchy and culture, the familiar profile a comforting presence in pockets and purses. Through wars, peace, and change, the Queen's visage has remained a steady, dignified emblem, softly shining through the ages. The U.S. Mint opened in 1792 with a mission to forge a new nation's currency, a slow and deliberate act of sovereignty and practicality. Established by Congress, the mint began by striking coins like the flowing hair dollar and the half-cent, each carefully designed to represent a young country's ideals and economy. Its first facility in Philadelphia hummed quietly with the sounds of presses and dies, producing silver, gold, and copper coins that would circulate across the expanding nation. The mint's founding marked the beginning of a monetary journey that remains steady and ongoing, a soft heartbeat of American history. Coins were once believed to carry luck, placed in shoes and wells for blessings, a gentle practice blending superstition and hope. Across cultures and centuries, people slipped coins into newborns' cradles, tossed them into fountains, or hid them in shoes to invite fortune and protection. These small tokens, cool and weighty in the hand, were quiet amulets, connecting the material and spiritual worlds with a soft jingle. The tradition lingered through time, a slow, comforting ritual that whispered of wishes, safety, and the unseen kindness of luck. Many medieval coins were clipped at the edges, thinned by greedy fingers seeking precious metal, a slow theft etched into their very rims. Before the invention of milled edges, coins with smooth, plain borders were vulnerable to being shaved, small amounts of silver or gold carefully scraped away, accumulating into secret hoards of illicit wealth. This practice made clipped coins lighter and less valuable, frustrating merchants and rulers alike. The problem was eventually solved by adding ridged or patterned edges, quiet guardians against theft, restoring trust one tiny groove at a time. Coins once jangled in silk purses, sewn into belts, hidden in bread, soft travelers accompanying people in myriad secret ways. In times of uncertainty, coins were tucked away carefully, inside purses woven from delicate threads, strapped to belts for quick access, or even concealed within everyday food to evade thieves. These quiet strategies ensured survival and security, small metal companions on life's slow, winding journey. Each coin's faint clink was a reassuring sound, a steady presence amid the murmur of markets, homes, and distant travels. Spanish pieces of 8 became global coins, accepted in every port and whispered about in every market, a soft currency of the world's early oceans. These silver coins, worth 8 reales, were widely circulated from the 16th and 19th centuries, traveling on galleons across the Atlantic and Pacific. Their value was recognized from Europe to Asia, making them the first truly international currency, used in trade, treasure, and daily exchange alike. The piece of 8's familiar round shape and gentle jingle connected continents slowly, weaving an economic web across the sleepy tides of history. Ancient Roman coins used imagery to spread imperial ideology like soft propaganda, whispering the empire's stories through carefully chosen symbols and portraits. Emperors' faces gazed outward, calm and commanding, while reverse designs depicted victories, gods, and virtues, each image a gentle reminder of power, piety, or peace. These coins circulated widely, carrying messages into far-flung provinces, reinforcing loyalty without a harsh word. The metal's cool surface bore the weight of empires' dreams, its designs a quiet language understood by all who held them. With a slow and tender sigh, let us gently wander through the next soft murmurs of coin history, each fact unfolding like a leaf settling quietly upon still water. Celtic coins often showed abstract swirls, horses dissolving into dreams, shapes that blurred and mingled as if painted by the slow hand of twilight itself. These coins, minted by tribes across ancient Europe, carried designs that seemed less about sharp realism and more about evoking motion and spirit. Horses, a symbol of strength and freedom, were often depicted with flowing manes and limbs that melted into curling lines, as if caught mid-gallop in a dreamscape. The metal surface shimmered faintly beneath these gentle curves, inviting the holder to linger in a quiet world where form and fantasy softly entwined. Counterfeiters in ancient times were branded, exiled, or worse, punished with slow and deliberate severity meant to deter the soft but persistent threat to economic trust. Forging coins was an act not only of theft but of disruption, a quiet attack on the very fabric of society's agreements. Those caught faced harsh penalties, branding to mark them forever, banishment from their communities, or even death in some cases. These punishments, though severe, were carried out with the measured calm of law, a somber reminder that even in the dullest corners of commerce, trust must be guarded gently but firmly, lest it unravel like a slow-spun thread. Viking traders weighed silver coins on scales before accepting them in barter, a slow and meticulous process that reflected a world where value was measured not just by image but by weight and trust. Each silver piece, regardless of its origin, was placed carefully on a balance, matched by a counterweight to confirm its worth. This ritual was a quiet dance of precision, ensuring fairness in exchanges that crossed vast distances and cultures. The scales themselves, often simple and worn, bore witness to countless trades and treaties, their gentle sway a soft metronome to the rhythms of commerce and connection. The Islamic dinar was so pure in gold that merchants trusted it across continents, a warm glow of assurance amidst the dust and bustle of trade routes stretching from Spain to India. Minted with high standards of purity, often above 90% gold, the dinar carried inscriptions praising Allah and the ruling caliph, embedding faith and authority into each gleaming disc. Its consistent weight and content made it a preferred currency for merchants and caravans, who carried these coins as both money and blessing. The dinar's quiet radiance traveled slowly across deserts and seas, linking diverse peoples in a shared dance of trust and exchange. In wartime, coins have been made of porcelain, leather, and even compressed paper, soft materials chosen out of necessity when metals grew scarce. These substitute coins, sometimes called emergency money or notgeld, emerged quietly during crises such as World War I and II. Porcelain tokens were carefully crafted to mimic metal coins, their fragile surfaces a tender reminder of scarcity and adaptation. Leather coins carried the scent and texture of softer times, pressed into service as temporary currency. Compressed paper money, often beautifully printed, circulated gently among civilians and soldiers alike, its soft rustle replacing the familiar clink of metal. These coins tell quiet stories of resilience and ingenuity, soft echoes of survival. During World War II, American pennies were briefly made of steel to save copper for bullets, a quiet shift in metal that left a subtle mark on history. From 1943 to 1944, these steel cents were coated in zinc to prevent rust but retained a cold, silvery appearance quite unlike the warm copper tone most were used to. Their light weight and unique sound made them stand out in pockets and coin jars, a whispered reminder of the nation's sacrifices and priorities during war. Though less durable and prone to corrosion, these pennies carried on the slow tradition of American coinage, quietly bridging the demands of conflict and daily life. Some of the oldest coins found in India were square, not round, a gentle reminder that currency shapes once varied as softly as the cultures that used them. Early Indian punch-marked coins, dating back over 2,500 years, often took rectangular or square forms, stamped with symbols like stars, trees, and animals in irregular patterns. These shapes contrasted with the now familiar circular coins, reflecting local customs, technology, and aesthetics. The tactile edges and corners offered a different feel, as if holding a piece of an ancient puzzle. These early coins carried value and meaning in their soft geometries, whispering of beginnings in a world just waking to trade. Shipwrecked treasure often glitters with centuries-old gold doubloons and silver pieces, resting silently beneath waves as soft time capsules of history. These underwater hoards, discovered through patient exploration, contain coins that were lost during storms or conflicts, their surfaces worn by salt and currents but still bearing the marks of minting and age. The gold and silver shimmer faintly in the filtered light, preserving stories of voyages, commerce, and mishap. Each coin is a slow, shimmering echo of a moment frozen beneath the sea, waiting patiently to share its tale with those who gently retrieve them. The florin, once minted in Florence during the 13th century, became a model for European coinage, a soft golden standard that quietly spread across borders. Its pure gold content and consistent weight made it a trusted medium of exchange during the late Middle Ages, gently facilitating trade between merchants, nobles, and cities. The coin's design was simple yet elegant, often featuring the fleur-de-lis, a lily symbol that whispered of purity and power. As florins traveled through marketplaces and treasuries, they carried not just wealth but a slow-growing network of economic trust that shaped Europe's monetary landscape. Ancient coins found in remote places tell stories of lost trade routes and forgotten friendships, quiet echoes of human connection scattered across distant lands. When archaeologists uncover these small metal discs far from their place of origin, they reveal gentle whispers of exchanges that crossed mountains, deserts, and seas. A Greek drachma in the sands of Egypt, a Roman denarius in the hills of Scotland, each coin is a soft footprint left by traders, travelers, and neighbors. These discoveries invite us to imagine the slow rhythms of trade and friendship, weaving cultures together in a tapestry of silent, metallic murmurs. The obverse is the face of a coin, a term that softly anthropomorphizes these small discs, giving them a gentle personality. Usually bearing the image of a ruler, deity, or emblem, the obverse is where identity and authority are quietly proclaimed. It is the coin's front porch, the welcoming visage that invites trust and recognition. The design often includes inscriptions of names, titles, or mottos, softly etched to endure time. Holding a coin by its obverse is like meeting a distant relative whose features tell stories of power, belief, and art, all carved in metal with slow, deliberate care. The reverse of a coin reveals stories, temples, lions, ships, and stars, symbols that drift across time like slow-moving shadows. While the obverse introduces the coin's face, the reverse offers a whispered narrative or a symbol of place and purpose. Temples might stand serene, lions may crouch with quiet strength, ships sail softly on imagined seas, and stars twinkle faintly, marking aspirations or celestial guidance. These images are not mere decoration but coded messages, gentle reminders of a culture's values, achievements, or hopes, all captured on a tiny metallic canvas that travels from hand to hand with measured calm. The ridged edges on coins were created to prevent shaving precious metal, a quiet innovation born of necessity and trust. Before ridges, also called reeding or milling, were introduced in the 17th century, dishonest hands could shave thin layers of silver or gold from coin edges, slowly diminishing their value. These ridges form a delicate pattern that is difficult to replicate or remove without obvious damage, softly guarding the coin's integrity. This tactile feature became a gentle deterrent, preserving the coin's full worth and reassuring users with a quiet texture beneath their fingertips, a slow but effective guardian of honesty. Some ancient Roman coins were used as tokens for gladiator games, soft souvenirs or admission passes that connected audiences to the slow drama of the arena. These coins or tokens, sometimes inscribed with the names of gladiators or the games, carried more than monetary value. They held memories and shared experiences. They jingled quietly in pockets and purses as spectators moved through amphitheaters, their metal surfaces worn smooth by countless hands. These tokens were small, humble keepsakes of a public spectacle, reminders of human endurance and ritual, softly echoing in the empty stands long after the cheers had faded. Coins buried with the dead were once believed to pay the ferrymen of the underworld, a gentle but serious tradition found in many ancient cultures. This practice, sometimes called placing Charon's obol, involved slipping a coin into the mouth or hand of the deceased to ensure safe passage across the river that separated life from death. The coin was not just currency but a symbolic offering, a quiet escort for souls on their slow journey to the afterlife. This soft ritual connected the material and spiritual worlds, a whispered promise that even beyond life's end, care and preparation continued gently onward. In Japan, it was once customary to place coins with newborns for good fortune, a tender gesture welcoming new life with hopes of prosperity and protection. Families would often include small coins in the cradle or on the infant's person, softly invoking blessings that money and luck might flow alongside the child's growth. These coins were not for spending but symbols, delicate tokens of parental love and cultural tradition. The cool metal against soft skin was a subtle connection to both earthly wealth and spiritual well-being, a quiet wish carried gently through the earliest days of life. With a slow breath and soft voice, let us gently explore more stories from the world of coins, each one unfolding like a whispered secret in a mossy forest. In pre-revolutionary Russia, some copper coins were so large they doubled as paperweights, gentle and hefty tokens of a vast empire's simpler monetary beginnings. These oversized coins, known as wire money or wire kopecks, varied in size and shape but were notably larger than most coins we think of today. Their weight and bulk made them both practical and symbolic, filling the pockets of peasants and nobles with slow, reassuring presence. These substantial coins jingled softly in leather pouches and wooden boxes, a tactile reminder of the empire's enduring rhythms. The sound of coins in a pouch once meant status, safety, and survival, a soft jingling presence that accompanied daily life in countless cultures. The weight and noise of coins conveyed wealth or hardship, a tangible measure of one's place in the world. For merchants, nobles, or travelers, the gentle clink was a reassuring song, a steady companion on journeys near and far. Yet for many, the sound was a reminder of scarcity and the delicate balance of survival. This humble noise carries whispers of lives lived slowly, held together by the quiet weight of metal money. Many emperors devalued coins by mixing base metals, a slow erosion of value etched into copper and silver that echoed economic shifts and challenges. Over time, Rulers sometimes diluted precious metal content to stretch resources or fund wars, a practice that gradually reduced coins' intrinsic worth. This process, often unnoticed day to day, eventually led to inflation and loss of public trust. The once bright gleam of silver dulled, replaced by muted alloys, as economies adjusted to new realities. This quiet decline in coin purity speaks softly of the fragile balance between power and economy. Collectors today grade coins on a scale from poor 1 to mint 70, a detailed system that measures a coin's condition with slow, exacting care. This grading scale evaluates wear, luster, scratches, and overall appearance, helping collectors and dealers assess value and authenticity. A poor 1 coin might be barely recognizable, worn thin by time and handling, while a mint 70 coin remains flawless, as if freshly struck and untouched. This system preserves the quiet history of each coin, allowing its story to be read not only in design but in the soft marks left by centuries of gentle use. Coin blanks are called planchets before they are struck with a design, the humble beginnings of every coin's journey. These flat metal discs are carefully prepared, trimmed, and polished to precise weights and sizes, ready to receive the impressions that will give them identity and purpose. The planchet is like a blank page, waiting patiently for the artist's touch. Once struck, it transforms into a coin carrying images, inscriptions, and value. Holding a planchet is to hold possibility, a quiet moment before history is softly stamped into metal. A proof coin is polished and struck twice for clarity, a mirror of craftsmanship and patience that shines like a gentle reflection. Created primarily for collectors, proof coins undergo special preparation. The planchet is polished to a high sheen, and the coin is struck with extra pressure, often twice, to ensure sharp details and a lustrous finish. The surfaces gleam with mirror-like brilliance, while frosted designs create soft contrasts that invite quiet admiration. These coins are less for spending and more for holding, cherished objects that capture the slow artistry of minting. The edge of a coin is called its third side and often contains secret text or designs, a subtle dimension often overlooked by hurried eyes. Beyond the obverse and reverse lies the coin's circumference, where ridges, lettering, or intricate patterns may be inscribed. These features serve practical purposes, preventing clipping or adding security, and also carry messages like national mottos, dates, or hidden symbols. The edge is a quiet border, softly enclosing the coin's story and inviting the curious to slow down and discover its secrets, one gentle touch at a time. Some coins feature hidden images only visible under ultraviolet light, a modern whisper of security and artistry in the quiet evolution of currency. This technology, often used to deter counterfeiting, reveals details invisible to the naked eye, like tiny symbols, serial numbers, or micro-patterns. These ultraviolet features are softly embedded during minting, a secret layer beneath the coin's familiar surface. Holding such a coin under special light is like uncovering a hidden world, a slow, luminous surprise that connects ancient craftsmanship with contemporary science. Coins made of electrum were valued by weight, as purity varied wildly. Electrum, a naturally occurring alloy of gold and silver, shimmered softly with a pale golden hue. Because the proportions of gold and silver were inconsistent in each nugget, early coins made from electrum were often weighed carefully to determine their true value, rather than trusted by appearance alone. This slow balancing act between metal and worth gave birth to the earliest standards of coinage, where trust depended on delicate scales and steady hands more than shiny surfaces. In some African cultures, coins were sewn into headwear and belts for display, a gentle form of adornment and status. These small metal discs jingled softly with movement, catching light and attention without harshness. Beyond currency, they served as symbols of wealth, identity, and even protection. The coins, nestled among beads and fabric, became part of a slow, living tapestry of cultural expression, worn as quietly powerful emblems in ceremonies and everyday life alike. Ancient Indian coins sometimes depicted bulls, elephants, or deities in mid-step, frozen in a moment of graceful motion. These punch-marked coins, dating back over 2 millennia, carried symbols that whispered of power, fertility, and divine protection. The bull might stride confidently, the elephant march steadily, each image a soft imprint of reverence and regional pride. These delicate icons were more than currency, they were tiny stories cast in metal, inviting the holder to linger on a quiet tableau of ancient belief. Japanese sen coins were used before the yen was decimalized, a slow step in the country's monetary evolution. The sen, equal to 1/100th of a yen, circulated widely from the late 19th century through much of the 20th, carrying designs that blended traditional and modern elements. These coins were small in value but rich in cultural meaning, jingling softly in pockets and purses as Japan transformed from feudal isolation to industrial power. Their gentle presence is a subtle echo of a nation's patient march toward modernization. The U.S. Buffalo nickel of 1913 depicted a Native American and a bison, images that softly capture America's rugged landscapes and indigenous heritage. Designed by sculptor James Earl Fraser, the coin's portraits are rendered with quiet dignity, the Native American's profile thoughtful and proud, the bison sturdy and steady. This nickel carried the weight of both history and nature in its metal, gently slipping through countless hands across decades, a small tribute to the slow, enduring spirit of the American frontier. The Mercury dime was actually a depiction of Liberty wearing a winged cap, often mistaken for the Roman god Mercury. This subtle confusion speaks softly of artistic choices and symbolic language. Designed by Adolf A. Weinman in 1916, Liberty's winged cap suggested freedom of thought and imagination, her youthful face serene and unhurried. The coin, in gentle silver, circulated through the early 20th century, a quiet reminder of American ideals wrapped in classical imagery, its soft lines inviting contemplation rather than haste. The Lincoln cent is the longest-running U.S. coin still in production, a slow and steady presence since 1909. Introduced to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's centennial birth, this penny brought a new kind of portraiture and sentiment to everyday currency. Over the decades, subtle changes have marked its evolution, variations in design, metal composition, and minting techniques, all unfolding with deliberate calm. This humble coin jingles quietly in pockets, a familiar companion through a century of gentle change. The euro cent coins vary by country but circulate across an entire continent, a delicate balance of unity and diversity in metal form. Each member nation of the Eurozone designs one side of their coins with national symbols, castles, animals, historical figures, while the common side reflects the shared currency. These small copper-plated coins glide softly through countless transactions, quietly linking economies and cultures with a slow, steady rhythm that echoes Europe's complex harmony. Early coins from Mesopotamia may have inspired later currency systems, a faint ripple of innovation from one of humanity's oldest civilizations. While Mesopotamians primarily used silver weights rather than coined money, their standardized measures and use of precious metals set the groundwork for coinage elsewhere. These silver pieces, carefully weighed and exchanged, formed a quiet economic language that later civilizations adapted and transformed. The legacy of this slow, methodical system still hums beneath the surface of modern money. A hoard of coins can offer archaeologists a frozen moment in history, a silent snapshot captured beneath layers of earth and time. These carefully hidden or lost collections, sometimes buried for safekeeping or forgotten by fate, preserve a wealth of information about trade, politics, and daily life. Each coin, worn and weathered, carries traces of its journey, mint marks, dates, and imagery that speak softly across centuries. Uncovering such a hoard is like opening a slow, precious book of human stories, patiently waiting to be read. Coin presses today use up to 100 tons of pressure to strike each piece, a silent but powerful force transforming flat metal discs into detailed stories. These machines, precise and steady, apply immense weight to transfer intricate designs onto planchets, ensuring every line and curve is clear and lasting. The slow press leaves a gentle imprint, a tactile memory pressed firmly into metal that will travel hands and pockets for years. This quiet process blends modern engineering with ancient craft, a whispered connection across time. Some nations mint coins not for circulation, but only for collectors and investors, creating pieces that exist mostly as keepsakes or treasures. These special issues often feature intricate designs, precious metals, or limited quantities, softly appealing to those who cherish the quiet beauty and history of coins. Though not meant for everyday trade, these collector coins gently preserve artistry and heritage, waiting patiently in albums and safes rather than jingling in pockets. Face value and melt value can differ wildly in times of inflation, a slow tug between the coin's assigned worth and its raw metal content. The face value is the official amount stamped on the coin, a gentle promise from a government. Melt value, however, reflects the worth of the metals if the coin were melted down: gold, silver, copper, each fluctuating quietly with markets and economies. When inflation or metal prices shift, this difference can grow, leading to coins whose metal is worth more than their spending power, a subtle tension in the currency's soft glow. Ancient coins have been found along the Silk Road and inside Viking graves, quiet travelers that hint at the vast networks of exchange connecting distant lands. The Silk Road, a winding series of trade routes, carried not only silk but silver and gold coins from Asia to Europe. Similarly, Viking burial sites sometimes contain coins from as far away as the Middle East, reminders of far-flung voyages and interactions. These finds are gentle footprints of commerce and culture, soft echoes of hands that once exchanged metal and stories across continents. Coins once traveled the world in saddlebags, pouches, and the bellies of ships, a slow and steady flow of wealth crossing oceans and deserts alike. Traders and explorers carried their metal treasures carefully packed, jingling softly with every movement. Ships, laden with coins, sailed through calm seas and stormy nights, bearing currency that would fuel markets and empires. This quiet movement of coins was the lifeblood of global connection, a metallic river winding gently through history's vast landscape. Coin forgeries date back thousands of years, history's quiet counterfeiters, those who tried to mimic metal and trust with softer metals or clever tricks. Ancient counterfeiters used materials like lead coated with silver or base metal alloys to imitate precious coins, a slow deception that tested the vigilance of merchants and rulers. Punishments for these forgeries were often severe, reflecting the quiet but serious threat counterfeit money posed to economic stability. These tales remind us that even in the calm world of coins, shadows and whispers quietly coexist. The Morgan silver dollar became iconic in the Wild West era, a large, gleaming coin that passed slowly through the pockets of cowboys, miners, and townsfolk alike. Minted from 1878 to 1904, and again briefly in 1921, its design features Liberty's profile on one side and an American eagle on the other, both rendered with soft detail and quiet dignity. This coin's steady presence in commerce and storytelling gives it a gentle legacy, a metal companion to the slow, dusty days of Western expansion. Some ancient coins have bite marks, once used to test for lead, a simple, soft way to check a coin's authenticity by pressure and texture. Before modern assays, biting a coin could reveal whether it was made of soft, precious metal or harder base alloys. The slight indentation left behind is a gentle fingerprint of trust and doubt, a quiet test performed by merchants and users long ago. These bite marks, faint and worn, speak softly of hands seeking assurance in the slow dance of commerce. French Napoleon coins show the emperor in profile, laurel-crowned and severe, a quiet portrait of power minted across Europe. These coins, struck during the early 19th century, carry the dignified visage of Napoleon Bonaparte, whose image became a symbol of authority and unity. The laurel wreath, an ancient emblem of victory and honor, rests softly upon his brow, while inscriptions circle the edge like a gentle mantra. These coins circulated widely, whispering tales of empire and ambition through the slow passage of time. Coins from Islamic Spain blended calligraphy and geometric elegance, a soft fusion of faith and artistry carved into metal discs. The delicate Arabic script, flowing like quiet water, intertwines with symmetrical patterns, creating designs that are as much visual poetry as currency. These coins avoided images of people or animals, focusing instead on sacred verses and ornamental motifs, reflecting the culture's spiritual and aesthetic values. Held gently, these coins offer a tactile and visual meditation on the slow beauty of faith expressed through metalwork. Early American coins featured eagles, shields, and stars bursting with idealism, delicate symbols carefully chosen to reflect the new nation's values and hopes. These designs spoke softly of strength, protection, and unity, often depicting the eagle spreading its wings as a guardian of liberty. Shields suggested defense and courage, while stars twinkled faintly, guiding citizens toward a shared destiny. These humble coins jingled in pockets and purses, carrying with them the slow but steady heartbeat of a country finding its way. A thaler was a silver coin that gave its name to the modern dollar, a slow linguistic journey from metal to word. Originating in the 16th century in the German-speaking regions, the thaler circulated widely across Europe, its name whispered and transformed in different tongues. This coin's sturdy silver composition and steady weight made it a trusted unit of exchange, gently flowing through markets and treasuries. Over centuries, the taller's name softened and shortened, eventually becoming the familiar dollar, a quiet testament to the endurance of currency and language alike. Some medieval coins bore saints or biblical scenes in exquisite micro-detail, tiny windows into spiritual worlds softly engraved on small metal canvases. These intricate designs required patient craftsmanship, where every delicate line and curve told a sacred story or honored a holy figure. Holding such a coin was like touching a whispered prayer, a connection between the earthly and divine realms. The slow work of these engravings invites us to linger on the quiet beauty and faith carried gently in everyday exchange. Collectors often look for full strikes, original luster, and uncirculated surfaces, details that reveal the coin's gentle journey or careful preservation. A full strike means the coin's design is completely and clearly impressed, like a soft imprint on a pressed flower. Original luster reflects the coin's surface sheen, a quiet glow that fades with wear. Uncirculated coins have never passed through many hands, retaining their pristine appearance like a fresh snowfall. These qualities matter deeply to collectors, who treasure coins not only for their metal but for the slow story told by their condition. The stater of Corinth was once among the most respected coins in ancient trade, a soft standard of value that quietly circulated across the Mediterranean. Minted in the city of Corinth, this gold or silver coin bore designs that spoke of strength and civic pride, often featuring the winged horse Pegasus, a mythical creature that whispered tales of speed and freedom. Traders and merchants trusted the stater's consistent weight and purity, allowing it to glide gently through markets far from its city-state origins, a metallic thread linking diverse peoples and slow commerce. Some modern coins include QR codes linking to national history, a subtle blend of old and new softly etched onto metal. These tiny, square patterns invite holders to scan and discover stories, images, and information about their country's heritage, a quiet merging of technology and tradition. Unlike the intricate engravings of old, these digital codes whisper connections across time, making each coin a portal to layered meanings. Holding such a coin is like touching a bridge between centuries, a gentle reminder that even currency can evolve with a slow, thoughtful pulse. Hold coins were common in East Asia and worn on cords around the neck, a soft practice blending utility and ornamentation. These coins, often cast with square holes in their centers, allowed strings to thread through, creating necklaces or bracelets. This practical design made carrying and counting coins easier while also transforming money into wearable art. The gentle clinking of these coin strings accompanied daily life, softly marking the wearer's modest wealth and cultural identity. This quiet custom links function with beauty in a slow, harmonious rhythm. Greek coins from Syracuse are considered among the most beautiful ever made, exquisite pieces of artistry captured in silver and gold. These coins, minted in the ancient city-state of Syracuse in Sicily, featured detailed images of gods, animals, and mythological scenes rendered with remarkable precision and softness. The craftsmanship invites one to linger, tracing the gentle curves of the owl's feathers or the serene face of a deity. Such coins are not just currency but small, precious artworks, whispering tales of skill and reverence from a distant past. In ancient Rome, coins were struck in temples as sacred offerings, a slow ritual blending faith and economy. Minting within temple precincts added spiritual significance to the coins, as the images and inscriptions often invoked gods and divine protection. These coins carried blessings as well as value, circulating as tangible tokens of the sacred and the secular entwined. The act of striking coins in these hallowed spaces was a gentle reminder that money, while material, also held a place in the quiet rhythms of religious life. The bust on a coin is meant to face left or right depending on tradition, a subtle custom that adds slow symmetry to currency design. Different cultures and mints developed conventions about which direction the portrait or emblem should face, creating a soft choreography of images across coinage. For example, British monarchs typically face the opposite direction of their predecessors, a gentle alternation that invites careful observation. This quiet detail connects coins to lineage and artistry, a small but enduring dance in the slow world of metal money. Some coins have themes: wildlife, mythology, national heroes, changing each year like a slow turning of a page in a dusty book. These designs offer a gentle glimpse into a country's culture, values, and stories, where each new release brings a subtle shift in imagery. The recurring motifs, majestic animals, legendary figures, or symbolic icons, invite collectors and holders alike to pause and reflect, softly connecting metal and meaning in a quiet ritual repeated year after year. The Canadian loonie is named for the loon bird on its reverse, a humble aquatic creature whose quiet call echoes across Canada's lakes. Introduced in 1987, this $1 coin carries the loon's image etched with gentle detail, wings folded and poised on water. The nickname loonie slipped softly into everyday language, becoming a beloved symbol of Canadian currency. Holding this coin feels like a slow, cool breath of northern wilderness, a small tribute to nature's calm presence. Ancient Babylon used silver weights, not coins, to settle debts, a subtle precursor to minted currency. These standardized weights, often in the shape of animals or geometric forms, were carefully measured to ensure fair trade and balance. Rather than exchanging coins, merchants and traders relied on these physical measures to represent value, a slow and methodical system that laid foundations for later monetary innovations. These silver weights whisper of commerce's earliest, quiet footsteps. Copper coins oxidize into verdigris, a dreamy, soft sea-green patina that slowly blankets metal surfaces exposed to air and moisture. This natural transformation is a gentle alchemy, where time and environment collaborate to alter appearance without erasing history. Verdigris can be both a protective layer and a sign of age, its muted tones evoking quiet seas and forgotten treasures. To hold a verdigris-coated coin is to touch a slow conversation between metal and nature, a soft reminder of time's gentle touch. Coins placed in the mouths of the dead were meant for safe passage, a practice rooted in ancient beliefs about the afterlife. This small, silent gift to the departed, often called the obol for Karen, was intended to pay the ferrymen who carried souls across the river to the underworld. The coin's cold weight was a final offering, a quiet key to realms beyond life. This practice, spanning cultures and centuries, whispers softly of human hopes and rituals surrounding death and journey. The euro replaced currencies like the franc, mark, and lira, coins of memory and identity, ushering in a new chapter of European unity. This transition was gradual and gentle, allowing old coins to coexist with new for a time, as people adjusted to the shared currency. Each former coin carried stories of nationhood and heritage, quietly passing into history as the euro's copper and silver discs began their slow circulation. The change is a soft reminder of evolution, blending past and present in metal and memory. A 1933 double eagle coin once fetched over $18 million at auction, a staggering sum for a piece of metal imbued with history and rarity. This gold coin, never officially circulated due to the United States' abandonment of the gold standard, became a coveted treasure for collectors. Its story moves quietly through legal battles and secret ownership, a rare jewel that holds value beyond metal and face. The coin's soft gleam carries whispers of vanished eras and the slow passage of fortune. Coins are still minted in space-themed sets to honor exploration and wonder, gentle celebrations of humanity's reach beyond Earth. These special issues often depict stars, rockets, astronauts, or celestial bodies, blending artistry with aspiration. Though mostly for collectors, such coins invite us to imagine the slow, steady journey from metal earth to starry skies, a quiet tribute to curiosity and dreams woven softly into currency. Ancient coins can show wear from thousands of hands but still tell their tale, a slow testimony to the passage of countless lives. Each scratch, dent, or faded image is a gentle mark left by the slow journey of use and time. Though softened and worn, these coins remain storytellers, their metal surfaces whispering of markets, travelers, and histories layered like sediment. Holding such a coin is like cradling a piece of living memory, quiet yet persistent. The first coins may have served ceremonial rather than practical purposes, delicate tokens in rituals and offerings before becoming everyday money. These early pieces were often crafted with symbolic designs, used in religious or social ceremonies to represent value or invoke blessings. Their slow transition from sacred object to currency marks a soft evolution in human society, where metal met meaning in a gentle dance over centuries. With a soft sigh and slow blink, let us gently explore the next quiet story of coins. Like a whisper in the stillness of history, commemorative coins often mark wars, peace treaties, or national birthdays, softly preserving moments of significance in metal form. These coins are not meant for everyday exchange but for remembrance and reflection, their designs carefully chosen to evoke solemnity or celebration. Each image and inscription serves as a quiet reminder of shared pasts, inviting holders to pause and consider the slow unfolding of time and the gentle turning of history's pages. Some coins are shaped like stars, hexagons, or scallops, not just circles, offering a subtle break from tradition. These unusual shapes require careful minting processes and often symbolize uniqueness or special occasions. The tactile difference of a star's points or a scalloped edge invites a soft touch and quiet curiosity. Such coins glide gently through collections or pockets, their shapes a delicate reminder that even money can wear forms that whisper rather than shout. Jingling Johnny was a nickname for soldiers who hoarded coins, carrying small pouches filled with metal through long campaigns. These jingling purses marked slow, steady companionship in hardship, the soft clinking a gentle soundtrack to marches and watches. Soldiers treasured their coins not only for spending but as symbols of survival and hope. This quiet nickname captures a human tenderness amid conflict, where even the sound of money could soothe weary spirits. Countries sometimes issue trial coins to test new designs or metals, quiet experiments in the art and science of minting. These prototype coins rarely reach the public but are carefully examined for clarity, durability, and aesthetic appeal. Trial coins whisper of behind-the-scenes craftsmanship, where slow adjustments and refinements shape the coins that will eventually pass softly through many hands. They are the gentle sketches before a final masterpiece. A coin's weight is precisely calibrated down to the milligram, a delicate balance ensuring fairness and trust. Minting authorities measure and adjust each planchet with patient care, knowing that even the smallest variance could ripple through economies. This slow precision connects science and art, where metal must meet strict standards to serve as currency. Holding such a coin is to touch the quiet heartbeat of a carefully measured world. Tiny Greek fractions of coins were known as obols, slivers of value that could be combined or divided for precise exchange. These small denominations, often made of silver, allowed ancient Greeks to conduct everyday trade with subtlety and care. Obols represent a slow refinement of money, where value is not blunt or coarse but finely graduated, echoing the gentle rhythms of market life and human need. Some rulers reused old coins by striking their own image over them, a soft layering of authority upon past legacies. This practice, known as overstriking, allowed new leaders to assert control while conserving metal resources. The underlying designs sometimes peek through, faint echoes of previous reigns beneath fresh impressions. These coins carry layered histories, quiet palimpsests in metal that invite the patient observer to trace the slow flow of power. Metal detectors still find ancient coins in meadows and forgotten battlefields, soft discoveries that connect us with vanished moments. Buried beneath grass and soil, these coins lie silent until unearthed, their surfaces worn by time but rich with stories. Each find is a gentle awakening, a reminder that beneath our feet rests a quiet archive of human passage and exchange, waiting patiently to be heard once more. In feudal Japan, coins were often secondary to rice as currency, a slow economy rooted in agrarian life. While metal money circulated in some forms, rice, measured and stored, was the fundamental unit of wealth and taxation. This reliance on a tangible, nourishing staple reflects a quiet balance between material and sustenance, where coins played a supporting role in the gentle rhythms of village and market life. The Roman aureus was a high-value gold coin used mostly by the elite, a soft gleam reserved for grand transactions and savings. Minted in small quantities, the aureus carried images of emperors and gods, its rich metal a symbol of status and trust. Though rare in daily commerce, these coins circulated among powerful circles, their slow journey marking privilege and influence in the vast Roman world. And from those tiny pebbles, shimmered softly into history, a system we still use today. But of course, you needn't remember any of this. You may simply rest. Let the word electrum echo like a whisper in a cave, long after the torches have gone out. If your eyes are closed, if your thoughts are drifting, then my job here is done for today. Thank you for spending this unremarkable moment with me. You have listened to The Sleepy Sloth, where uninteresting things become the softest lullabies.